What's up, you beautiful Redditors? Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome to the RNEWS Evening Show. And let's just jump into it. From r/politics. With Canada and Mexico borders closed, Americans are trapped in their own healthcare system. The Trump cult got what they wanted. Closed borders. All they had to do was downplay the severity of a global pandemic and protest against taking safety measures, which inevitably lead to its spread, killing 180,000 plus US citizens in less than 6 months. The irony being people in Canada at least don't seem to care or mind the border is closed. The vast majority want it. Tens of thousands of Trump voters have been locked out of their med supply from Canada and Mexico. Yet they'll still vote for him. The US is feeling like Iliad more and more every day. Black market insulin is a word that should never be a thing. You know, like school lunch debt. Yet here we are. Total BS article. The vast majority of Americans are trapped in the healthcare system with the borders open as well. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. As Trump's popularity slips in latest Military Times poll, more troops say they'll vote for Biden. Russia put a bounty on US troops in Afghanistan, and Trump's response was to try to invite Russia back to the G7. I have no idea why you would support this traitor if you were in the US military. Same reason people make misspelled signs about "keep government hands off my Medicare." Then vote for Republicans who promise to destroy socialist healthcare and the welfare state. Oh man, those signs are a freaking laugh. It's like how the ACA is 40% more popular than Obamacare when they are literally the same thing. I was nearly in a bar brawl for trying to explain that to several Trump lovers that rely on ACA. They insisted that Obamacare is what illegal immigrants and lazy brown people get for free, while ACA is for hard-working Americans. That's how it was explained to them by Hannity and co. 29 years active duty military here. Bounties on US troops and no action. Coziness with our sworn enemies Russia and North Korea. I'm not exactly sure what this administration has done that can't be characterized in the worst possible way. The mental gymnastics required to think Russia's meddling with our elections, but meh. It's no problem, are one of the most confounding things to me. His supporters literally don't care what he does. He's pissing on our constitution. Edit. Thanks for the gold, guys. I'm surprised and humbled by it. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Twitter removes QAnon supporters' false claim about coronavirus death statistics that Trump had retweeted. Has access to the best scientific advisors and intelligence briefings in the country. Prefers the juicy-sounding fake stuff on social media. This is a lot of people actually. Through the internet, everybody has access to legitimate data, scientific studies, etc. Yet people still choose to believe things that are not true. We thought the internet would empower everyone to have a voice, but those were the early, naive days. As it turned out, we underestimated the extent to which sanctimony, ignorance, hypocrisy, historical illiteracy, and the unwarranted confidence of perpetually adolescent brains would form an ambulant thundercloud of perpetual conflict and meanness. Turns out the vast majority of people are freaking morons, and it was far better when we didn't hear from them. It's not so much about us hearing from them. It's them hearing each other and validating one another. Most morons are actually pretty good at mimicking well-adjusted, functioning members of society, and we're actually pretty okay when they all are. It's just that the echo chambers produced by social media made them all feel like they're no longer obligated to social decency. See the outrage against PC culture, when half the time PC culture is just acting like a decent normal human being and not a social troglodyte. Twitter deleting false or misleading tweets after they have been retweeted and gone around their world is so totally pointless. They really need to do better. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/World News. Spain arrests pandemic-denier who wrote covidiots deserve to die. Police say he also posed as a public official in telephone calls to nursing homes, hospitals, football clubs and the media to spread false data about the pandemic in Spain. Isn't covidiots used for people that don't think is real? Sadly, that's a tactic that's being used a lot. If they're called a nasty name, like covidio or brown shirt, they'll just start using that term to describe their adversary. It's a very complex tactic dating back to Sun Tzu's Art of War. and every playground in America. They are derivatives of the nefarious. I know you are, but what am I? Defense. Extensive studies have been conducted in South Park, CO, but there is still no known counter. Not by covidiots. Well then you are a covidio. From my perspective the Jedi are covidios. Quote. Coviception. The inescapable feeling of time stretching to eternity before you because your country can't get crap under control. Deserve to die. Did he believe in the pandemic or not? These people have no legitimate beliefs. They just enjoy being contrarian. So they think the coronavirus is fake, but he hopes that people die of what? Coronavirus. They think coronavirus isn't real, but they hope people die of it. What? You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/news. Whistleblower testifies deputy who shot Gardena teen was chasing ink. More than a dozen deputies have matching tattoos and belong to a violent clique called their executioners at the station, according to Deputy Art Gonzalez, who filed a whistleblower complaint regarding the executioners in June. Just 12 plus bad apples. Nothing to see here. A bad apple. That's a lovely name for murderer. That almost sounds nice. I've had a bad apple. It was tart, but it didn't choke me out. Here's the thing. I know being a cop is hard. I know that crap's dangerous. I know it is. Okay, but some jobs can't have bad apples. Some jobs, everybody gotta be good. Like pilots. Yeah, no. American Airlines can't be like. Most of our pilots like to land. We just got a few bad apples that like to crash into mountains. Please bear with us, Chris Rock. Just a literal violent gang within the police, it's okay. Judge Dredd would not approve. And that's really sad considering his justice system is whack. When you go to the actual hard facts and try to prove them, it's a whole different animal. Emphasis. Mine. These gang deputies are relying on it being difficult to prove any of this because they are covering their tracks. They all belong in federal prison. It's frustrating when the news uses the word clique. It's clearly gang activity. You're watching the RNEWS show. From r/politics. Trump's RNC loses bigly to Biden's DNC in TV ratings. According to initial Nielsen numbers, President Trump's speech Thursday night drew 14.1 million viewers across the 3 broadcast networks and 3 major cable news networks. That is more than 3 million fewer viewers than the 17.5 million who tuned in to watch Biden's speech 1 week earlier. Biden's numbers were ultimately adjusted up to 21.8 million. And considering there weren't any NBA playoff games and several baseball ones cancelled as well, these numbers are actually worse for Trump since Biden had to go up against a Lakers game, which normally has 3+ million viewers. Sad. Lost by 3 million, huh? Where have I heard it before? Well, you see, those millions of viewers were watching illegally. We have created a committee to investigate mass viewer fraud. That will quietly disband sometime down the road because we couldn't find any fraud. Soros was bussing in illegals to watch the DMC. Then they stayed and watched reruns of House instead of Dear Glorious Leader. Wake up, sheeple. Someone is gonna have a Twitter tantrum. He posted hours ago that he'd won. Pathetic, rolling on the floor laughing. None of this stopped Trump from tweeting Friday morning. Great ratings and reviews last night. Thank you. Nothing but lies from this lunatic. And that's where we're going to end today's show. But if you like what you saw, leave a like. And if you want to see more of the RNEWS show, hit that subscribe button. As always, this has been the RNEWS show and I'll see you tomorrow.